Welcome to Season 3 of the Take the Leap podcast. We want to thank you for being a part of this journey with us.
Whether you're just starting to tune in or you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you can expect to hear from entrepreneurs in all stages of their journey, how they got to where they are, and all the mistakes and victories they've had along the way.
We're excited to share new guests and have some returning folks from our first 2 seasons. Thank you for being here, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back, everyone, to the Take the Leap podcast. We're really excited to welcome our guest today, Nick Footer, Cultivator of Happiness and CEO at Intuitive Digital. Inspired by a family legacy of entrepreneurship, Nick founded Intuitive Digital, a leading digital marketing agency in Portland, Oregon. Nick's path to becoming a business owner began with a strong educational foundation. He earned a BA and an MBA with concentrations in digital marketing, entrepreneurship, and business strategy. In 2012, with a mastery of search marketing, Nick leveraged his expertise to establish his own company, Intuitive Digital. Intuitive Digital has since grown into a nationally and locally recognized agency, earning numerous awards, including AMA Max Awards, which I know you've done, for his outstanding work. Nick's leadership has also been personally recognized. He received the Young Leadership Award in 2022. Beyond his professional accomplishments, he is a devoted father of 3 and an avid golfer with a handicap of 3. He is passionate about client success, building great teams, and providing high-quality services. Welcome, Nick. Thanks so much for being on with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, we're excited to have you and chat about all things.
I really got to update that bio. I'm a 1 handicap now. So
nice. That's awesome.
Ooh.
Congratulations. I know now that I live in Vegas, my husband and I are like, should we take up golf? We could pretty much do it like almost year round here. So
That makes
it's a very
sense.
popular sport. But yeah, so we start these out all the same way, which is, what's your Take the Leap story? Like, how did you decide to get into entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I decided to get into entrepreneurship and take the leap really at an early age. Both of my grandfather and father owned a family owned and operated business. And my view was I was going to buy that business and become a 3rd generation owner. That didn't work out. They sold the business as I was basically in high school, but my love for business already was really there, and so I ended up still going to school for business and for marketing. I really enjoyed this idea of being able to track people on social media and then provide them with some sort of offer or some sort of messaging like you really could never do in marketing in the past. And so I really loved marketing, but I really did want to start my own business. And this idea of having a marketing agency as a young person seemed like really cool. Like ping pong tables and coffee and, just creating really cool stuff, whether that's websites or ads or SEO. And so I worked for a couple of other digital marketing agencies, got that MBA that you talked about. And, the timing just ended up working out where kind of one job ended and I had been working on this kind of as a side business. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. In your words, I'm gonna take the leap. And, it's funny because I've been asked, like, would you do it again? And I think Nick back then, I would do it again. But like Nick today with a mortgage and 3 kids, and I don't know. Like it's very stressful to start your own business and not know where that money's going to come from.
Yeah.
And so some of it is just your life has to be in the right place to take that leap. But
Totally.
it can be done. Doesn't matter how old you are, and I would still do it again.
Now I'm just
I
curious.
love that response.
What is the family business that you were gonna buy /
Yeah.
inherit? Is a very obviously probably very different than the marketing side of things.
It was a mops and broom company. So yeah, very
Interesting.
different, very different. They had licensed near the end. They had licensed Mr. Clean. So anything still today that you see with Mr. Clean, like that are mops and brooms, that's still that company. Ended up getting sold to another organization, and that brand is still around.
Wow.
Easy Day, or it's called Butler Home Products.
Yep.
And yeah,
Wow.
it's really fun going still into like different stores, Fred Meyer's, and still seeing kind of the family mops and brooms there.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
really funny. Are you glad though that you ended up taking the path that you took?
Oh boy, I don't know if anyone's asked that question before. That's a hard one. Um, I'm very much somebody who lives kind of in today and doesn't look back too much whenever
Mhm.
possible. But in general, like I've really enjoyed the marketing
Yeah.
world, the marketing agency I've been able to build. I think I would have had a lot of fun making and selling mops and brooms too. It's I
Mhm.
just, but yeah, I'm probably I wouldn't have met my wife, I think, and so
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
regard, I'm happy that I am in digital marketing.
Absolutely.
That's that's really sweet.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. And I really liked your honest answer too of like, I don't know if I would do it today with a mortgage and kids. And I appreciate that because it's, I'm a parent now too and I started my business before I became a parent as well. And I feel like I work on a lot smaller scale than you probably do as a solopreneur, but it is very stressful to not know where the next paycheck is coming from, if what I have lined up is going to cover the bills, this month.
Yep.
And also at the same time recognizing that we're in a place of privilege, my husband and I, to be able to do that because he has the corporate 9 to 5 job and the health insurance. And so I focus on bringing in a certain number so that we can cover our bills. And then anything above that is like, yes, I'm making it, And so I think just recognizing that that isn't always the case for a lot of people, and you can start a business, you can make it happen. Some people might have to do it on the side of a full-time job, which is like a million times harder to work multiple jobs, And so I think
Yeah.
just recognizing that everybody has a different journey, everybody has a different path, and it's not always the Instagram version of what you see running a business to look like. You don't, like, yes, I might be able to take off in the middle of the day to go pick up my son or like go do something, but there are things that suffer because of that. And that doesn't mean that I'm just having a party every day, And I think, I don't know, I don't know where I'm going with this original thought, but I think it's nice to be able to like have that, like, yes, and it's also hard and there's also things that you're able to do when you have certain resources, and I think that helps.
Yeah. I think also the switch to a lot of businesses being working from home and having that as
Mm.
a capability has almost allowed for that kind of like entrepreneur life for
Yeah.
normal like W-2 employees,
Yeah.
which I think it's a great thing in a lot of ways. It's hard in other ways. But yeah, I think that lifestyle that you're talking about is really, I mean, I love it. I'm out here in my office that I have out in my backyard, and
Nice.
we still have an office in Portland, but it's so great to have the flexibility that we have. Pandemic was really hard, but I feel like that is one thing that came out of it. Is a lot more organizations have understand like work life balance and the flexibility that came about from working from home, and so yeah, we're still kind of all into that flexibility and that lifestyle, and
Mm.
I love it. And I don't think it's fair that my team doesn't get to enjoy it if I'm enjoying it. So it just seems like
Right.
a, an equity type thing.
Mm.
That's another really good point. That's a great point. Well, what piece of advice would you give yourself, knowing what you know now about running a business? What piece of advice would you give yourself when you were first starting out?
Yeah, I think as I thought about what piece of advice I would give myself, it really came down to where I think is probably one of my bigger, if not biggest, mistakes in running the company, which was really counting your chickens before they hatch. And
Mm.
there was this really what I envisioned as huge deal that I thought might turn into 50 to 100 new clients. And
Wow.
we got a business loan, we expanded our office space, we hired up, and it turned into 4 actual clients. And so we had way too much office space, we had way too, and so, you know so that if I could go back and tell myself one piece of advice, it'd be don't wait until you actually have those contracts signed and dollars, in your bank account before you take on the expense
Mhm.
side of that same equation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that's a
paid off
good
that
point.
business loan for 7 years, and
Oof.
Wow.
it
Ooh.
we got through it. It's paid off, but it was a reminder every month when we had to write that check.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's what I would do is yeah, don't count your chickens before they hatch.
I think we're all there though, especially if we're like plan ahead people. We're like, okay,
Yeah.
if I am going to really do this,
Mhm.
like that's something that I have been thinking about as I like do more business development and stuff, being a solopreneur. And like, I think at one point I had told you this, or maybe not, Nick, that I like had team members, had to like scale down,
Yep,
and so now I'm like really like cautious of like, okay, if I do sign this client, like, do I have the capacity to do a good job? Because I think the other thing when you are really like caring, like client focused organization, you also don't want to like let that person down and be like, I messed up by like signing you and I just don't have the capacity, or like things got busy here. And so like sometimes you do want to have like those people in place, the team members that can help do that backup stuff. So it's very chicken and egg thing. Like, do you have it or not have it? And then I know especially for folks who have like small teams and like you had said, like care about that work life balance. You also don't want to like overload your team with
yep,
with that new
Right.
work before you kind of backfill that. So yeah, I think that is an important life lesson that every owner does learns as they like are scaling up, as well as
Mhm.
like how do you account for that.
yep. And forecasting is hard when that's just
Yeah.
one of 19 things that you're having to do as a business owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you said something too that I think is also just like an amazing reminder that all of us need is like wait till the contract is signed. I think all business owners who are in any sort of service based situation where contracts are involved, I think all of us have messed up on that one before. And
Oh
I
yeah,
think it's all like it's painful every time. And even if you've been in your business for a while, like I just feel like it's so easy to, like, oh, they said they were going to do it. I'm so excited, and like let's get the team together, let's do this. And then, something happens and it doesn't quite pan out or they can't do it anymore or whatever. Life happens. And so until I get that contract, I don't celebrate anymore.
yep.
Um
Well,
so
and something that's even, I mean, I don't want to be too much in the fear and depression here, but the last year, I don't know about you all, but it's been I've signed contracts and then a few weeks later they've had to withdraw because the business has changed. They're having to do
Mhm.
layoffs.
Yep.
This last year has been really different. It feels like from Main Street businesses versus Wall Street businesses.
Yeah.
And I hear this all the time, like we're down 20%. This is worse than the Great Recession, but no one's talking about it. It seems like
no.
everyone's saying, "Yep, no, business is good. We should be doing fine. It's not a recession." But most of the businesses I talk to, that's how they're thinking, and that's how
Yeah.
they're experiencing the current business conditions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we
I've had a couple of clients that are like, "Hey, we got to like, the ones that I'm really glad that they trust me enough to let me know like how they're operating internally, and that
yep,
like that level of trust cannot be replaced. But I mean, it is painful like to hear that like we have to cut our marketing budget in half. Like I even had one client who was just so sweet. She's like, if this doesn't make sense for you and your business, like you can tell, like I'm okay with you telling me no. And I was just like, well, no, I mean, I fingers crossed, I hope things will improve next year, and like I really believe in what you do. So like even though it's a lower level, like I would rather be like keeping on doing the marketing, because I feel like if all the marketing goes away, then you actually legit are going to close. Like that
Yeah.
to me just feels like a death sentence, and that we're like writing it off, and you might as well recoup whatever you can now. But I was like, if you're in it, in it to win it, I'm in it to win it, because it's not, that is really, that's not the we need to be a little bit optimistic as much as we can
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this as well, because I mean everything goes in waves and cycles,
Yeah.
and I'm always trying to look on the bright side. But yeah, this has been a crappy year. I had like a not a great the end of 2024 was also like very, very painful. So I
Yeah.
feel like I'm finally coming out of it. But again, it's just me now and like one contractor. So it's not like I'm supporting a team of 3 with my business anymore. And that makes it a little bit easier to ride the bumps and bruises
Mhm.
along the way.
Yeah.
All right, I have my last question before we put you into the hot seat
Oh,
questions.
okay.
They're going to be fun. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
fun,
I think they will be good.
questionable.
Unfun. What's your why? Why do you continue being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I thought about this question a little bit, and so I think that my why it really comes down to my title, which is the Cultivator of Happiness. Um, and for me, I see that as both how I can bring that level of happiness to the people that I get to work with, so my employees, my the clients, or what we call partners, and trying to come up with strategies and come up with ways to improve their business. And so it's kind of twofold. One is I get to help the growth of these, 13 other people into becoming better humans, better marketers, and that's something that really is important to me, is making the world a little better place. And then on the flip side, it's helping businesses. I mean, I get to help 60 businesses grow and do hopefully really great marketing and survive through some of these really trying and difficult times that digital marketing right now is a mess.
Yeah.
And organizations that are not investing in the right ways and the right tactics are going to get either left behind or have to shut down entirely, because there are organizations that are. So, yeah, I think whether it's helping my team or the businesses that I get to work with, it's making, bringing more joy and happiness to the world. For some people that's more money, for other people that's more time off, for other businesses that's just trust knowing that marketing is handled right. And so I try not to figure out what the why is for every single person, but I like to ask those questions, like what would bring you happiness at the end of us working together. What are
Yeah.
you trying to do at the end of your, where would you like to be in 10 years in your career? And so
Mhm.
knowing those types of things and helping people achieve those types of goals, that's really my why.
That is
I love that.
awesome. I know. I didn't even think to ask about the cultivator of happiness, because that is a very, I mean, I know what it means like right off the bat. And that is really cool that you kind of lead with that in your business for your team and for your clients as well.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
great.
it used to be our mission or purpose was to cultivate happiness, up
Mm.
until about 5 years ago, and we went through a variety of kind of processes and just felt like the whole team, it didn't connect with everyone. It really connects with me, and so that's
Mhm.
why I kept the title of Cultivator of Happiness. But we changed our purpose, which is now to inspire change, which is a little bit more outward focused, and really trying to help organizations we work with like do do their businesses differently. And one of the things we work on is like having hard conversations with our clients or partners, about how they're treating us, or how about how they're
Mm.
treating customers, or how they're treating employees. And so, we try to both, and run our business differently, and we try to help advise people who are listening, how to, maybe do theirs a little better too.
I love that. That's great. Well, we have a variety of hot seat questions for you, and they're not like scary or anything. They're just we call them a hot seat, but
Yep.
they're just random questions, and it'll be like we'll pivot a lot. Like it'll be one question will be completely different than the other. So, I always like to kick it off with the this one, which is what is the best and or worst advice that you've received in your career?
The best and or worst advice. So I think the best advice that I was ever given was about how to get a job. And that advice was don't fill out 60, 100, 400 applications. Find those 3 to 5 companies that you would do anything to work for and just don't take no for an answer. And so that's how I got my job before Intuitive Digital was kind of formed, and it worked. And I continue to give this advice to anybody who, if they want career or job advice, because I am obviously somebody who leads with purpose. I believe you should have purpose in the job and the work that you do, and so I think that organizations are looking for individuals who have that passion. You can't teach passion,
Yeah,
and you can't inspire passion for a specific industry or a specific way of running a business. Or and so yeah, that to me, that's the biggest one, is that yeah, find the companies you want to work for, and don't take no for an answer. Or, since we're on an entrepreneur show, I would say go build it. Right, if
Yes.
you
yeah,
don't see it out there, figure out a way to make it happen.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's one of the reasons I founded Intuitive Digital, is I wanted a business that was based on my values and my way of looking at the world. And so yeah, that was one of the core, from day one we had core beliefs and principles and a mission and values. And we've really tried hard to keep our actions and the way that we work with our employees and partners aligned with those values.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I
That's
really
really good
oh,
advice.
yeah.
Oh,
I was
I
so gonna say I really resonate with that because that's what I've always tried to do is like build the company that I would want to work for if I was an employee. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think that's also the driving force for a lot of entrepreneurs of like I cannot work for anybody because I've been in this work situation and it's not working for me. But I also just love that advice of focusing your efforts on the things that bring you passion, and also just like applying it to marketing in general. Like, you wouldn't advise a client to just spread their message out to the whole world, right? Like, you're going to have them focus
Yep.
on their target audience. And so I think that concept can be applied in so many areas of our life, and it's so tempting with all the tools and things that we have access to now to just kind of spread it to the masses, and then we get overwhelmed and like there's so much noise. um and I think, yeah, just applying that concept just in general to our lives, I think would help a lot of us in a lot of different ways.
absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, total pivot to a different topic. um, there is so much out there about like AEO, AI visibility. I told somebody like I said LLM out loud, and people are like, "Is that a different kind of LLC?" And I'm like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I have to explain to you what this is."
Yep.
Um, but why do you think it is important for businesses and organizations to prepare for AI visibility out there right now?
Yeah. So I think it's really important to prepare for AI visibility because it is the cutting edge of marketing right now, and it's not going away. So if organizations aren't investing time and money and thought into how they can get their organization either into those answers or into those generative engines, they're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
We're seeing huge increases in traffic from uh, from GEO, from both our clients as we've been doing it. And sometimes that's from 3 to 50. So those percentages look huge.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing is and we're expecting that to continue to scale, and it is taking over and starting to take over a search page. If you go do a search for almost anything now, I think it's right around 40% of all searches have some sort of generative answer now on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that being the case, if you're not on there, you're missing out on 40% of searches that
Yeah.
that humans and bots are doing right now.
Yeah. I've been noticing that a lot in people's Google Analytics, and people are asking me like, "How is this in Chat GPT?" And I was like, either it's for the people who I'm not controlling that part of the website, I'm like, I'll have to dig into that and what's happening on the back end. Or a lot of times people are loading, if you're working with Chat GPT, you're loading your own content in there to build your custom GPTs and things like that. And I'm like, your website's probably slated in there somewhere, and people
Yeah.
are clicking on it either on purpose or by accident, and that's linking them back to your site
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, that was a great answer.
Yeah. I love that. AI is here to stay, whether we want it to or not is like a different issue completely.
Yeah.
It's here to stay. And I think, yeah, being able to have use it as a tool and figure out how to use it as a tool for your company is huge.
Yeah. I will say though that I came across someone, and this kind of connected with me, is it, and there is going to be a group of people who are like this, where raise your hand if you won't ever click on ads. I don't ever click on the ads portion of Google, right? Are you both of you?
I do, but only
Okay.
because I try to reward the marketer that did the good thing to put it. If
Fair.
it's, I would say,
That's
if it
sweet.
Good.
is applicable to me, I will click on the ad to
Yeah.
reward the marketer who put it there in front of me. So, as the person who used to do that.
Mhm.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So I get that piece of it, but in general, I guess where I was trying to go with that is there are people who will not click on ads,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there are people who I'm finding this, who will not click on that AI overview.
AI, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it's not, SEO is not dead, which is,
Mhm.
there's
No.
been a lot of clickbait articles this year that says SEO is dead. That's not the case. It's going to be
No.
different. The quantity of people getting to those places is way lower this year than it will be,
Mhm.
than it was last year. And I think that trend is going to continue, but it is a place that you will have to continue to invest in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, again, it'll be a place where you'll lose market share. So
Yeah.
we were recommending, we call it AEO, SEO, and GEO. Those are kind of the three that you're having to optimize for, kind of like in an SEO package. Although really,
Yeah.
it's three different
Mm.
places now,
Mhm.
and they all have different algorithms.
Yeah.
And a lot of there is some overlap, but there are specific things you have to do in each one of those engines to help rank you better or be more likely to show up in them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anybody who thinks SEO is dead, I always say, like, then you need to work on your internal linking on your blog posts, because once they get there to your page, make them stay on your website and do stuff. Because, yeah, a lot of people have like a
Mhm.
really high bounce rate. And I'm just like, because you're not leading people to other stuff on your site.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a holistic thing, right? Like there's so many different things that feed into each other, and yeah, when you can look at it holistically, that's where you're going to make the biggest difference. Um just kind of like from our conversation and seeing online your website, it seems like you serve a lot of ethical and sustainable values driven organizations like we talked about, and nonprofits. So obviously we touched on this a little bit. It's been a rough year for a lot of them. And I just want to know what's kind of been some like major challenges as you've been working with them this year, and how are you trying to guide them into 2026?
Mm, this is more than a hot seat question.
As I say, this
Yes,
is a
sorry.
big, beefy question.
um, So it's kind of two questions, right? The first question being what are the issues that a lot of our partners are seeing and they're up against. And I think, as I talked a little bit about it earlier, it seems like we are in large part in a recession for a lot of industries, not all, but a lot. And people are not spending money like they have in the past, and you see that in some of the retail data that's coming out, and Walmart, profits are up, and Target and these other are down, and so what we're seeing is that people don't have as much money to spend as that they did in years past. And so, unfortunately, a lot of what we're trying to help our partners with is like, how can we do more with less? So if they are having to make cuts to marketing or to budgets, like how can we still try to drive the most possible leads or revenue or conversions, whatever that specific client's goal is, um, and and how can we communicate effectively both to their marketing department, but also to their C-suite or to their owners, because that's another thing is just we've done way more this year in helping just talk about communication and I've sat in on way more meetings with owners and C-suite folks just explaining like what we do because the market has shifted. They're like, what, we're spending what on marketing, like let's I want to figure out what they're doing for us. And so yeah, there's been a lot more of just general explanation of what we're doing and how we can prove that as somebody spends X, they're getting Y. Um,
Right.
and so that's actually, as a pulling a thread from that, there's been a lot more focus on attribution
Mhm.
and kind of full funnel attribution where you can actually prove not just did somebody fill out a form, but did that person then actually become a patient, a client, a customer? Did they actually donate? Did they become a volunteer? And so helping close that loop has been a big thing that we've done in 2025.
That's
Oh,
fair.
that's a big one too, because I do feel like especially with a lot of like smaller, even some medium-sized businesses, they don't have the tracking tools in place for us to close that
Yeah.
loop. Or there's just kind of a gut feeling like, yeah, I know that we spent this much, and I think we're getting like calls and customers and leads off of it. But yeah, that was one of the most frustrating things. Or when you want to give attribution to different things of like, oh yeah, their last click thing was through a social media ad. But I'm like, dude, they got 3 emails. They came to the website 7 times. They saw our ad, 20
Yep.
times. And then they clicked on social media because it
Right.
showed, So like you have to attribute it to like all those other factors that led to it
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, attribution was always my favorite and least favorite thing because it tell depending on which one you track, it tells you very, very different results as well.
Yeah, but
Um,
that is the world that we're living
yeah.
in terms
Yeah.
of multi-device,
Mhm.
multi-touch. There are very few products or services today where they do a Google search, they find it, and then they buy. The things
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
that makes it's going to be like plumbing service, right? Where they have a busted pipe, they're you pick up and you're coming, like you're going to get the job.
Mhm.
But
Right.
there are very few things I feel like that are like that today.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very true. And even just thinking about my own behavior, like when I'm buying something, like I do the same thing. Like I check reviews and I think, oh, okay, I don't need this right this second, but maybe later this week I'll take care of it. Or maybe like in a month, I'll go back to it. And like I'll look at different things and I'll get to it from different avenues. Like it's human nature. Like there's just so many avenues accessible to us. And yeah, if I'm on their email list and following them on social media, I might see the email, forget all about it, and then see something on social media and say, "Oh, that's right. I need to go back and do that." Like
Yeah,
Oh.
it's human behavior. So,
Mm.
yeah.
that was great. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about what we're advising they do going into next year?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. So, what we're advising most of our clients, partners to do going into 2026, it depends on what service they're on, but
Yeah.
in general, if you're on any of our pay-per-click services, a lot of what we're doing is actually moving away from the automated campaigns that Meta and Google and Microsoft are recommending. Because what we found is that although they drive a lot of clicks and a lot of impressions and they seem to work well, when we drove that attribution all the way past that conversion point and determined are they full funnel clients, a lot of those conversions were not. They were just form fills or they're just phone calls, but they didn't turn into clients or customers
Yeah.
or revenue. And so we're actually pulling back on a lot of those automated campaigns and kind of just going back to the old school of search campaigns, which, um, a lot of people have moved away from. But what we're seeing is that like those are people that are more likely to actually convert, and not just convert, but become clients and turn into revenue. And so we're pivoting a little bit back to that. On the SEO,
Interesting.
yeah. On the SEO side, we're all in on AI overviews, AEO, GEO, but not leaving out SEO.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what that means is that, like I said earlier, each one of them have kind of things that overlap, but then they each have specific places that those engines are currently more likely to pull from. As an example, like Gemini is more likely to pull from either Reddit or from YouTube. And it makes sense because Gemini is a Google product connected to YouTube
Yep.
and also has a deal with Reddit about data sharing. And so they basically have a way to get all the data from Reddit directly into Google. ChatGPT, interestingly, like Wikipedia pages show a higher value to being able to show up in a in a ChatGPT answer. And so it's those types of things that we've learned and we know that are helping. So it's unfortunately, even if you've been doing SEO for 10 years, it's all you
It's all
got.
new.
It's
It's
all
all
new.
Yep.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's just what we're trying to be the thought leaders for our partners, explaining the changes, explaining
Mhm.
why, yes, the work we've done is still valuable, it's still helping, but there's a whole new wave of
Yeah.
changes that we're going to have to make going into 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. That is a conversation I have with a lot of folks. They're like, why are we going back and like touching these blog posts from like, a year ago? And I'm like, well, you get good steady traffic on it. We need to optimize it for the things that matter now. Like
Yeah.
and then anything that's just garbage, let's refresh it, let's rewrite it, let's redo it because it's not serving its purpose. But yeah, I think
Right.
especially small businesses, they're like, what? I set up my website. I shouldn't have to change it. I'm like, if you don't ever change it, Google's never going to serve it. It thinks you're
Exactly.
dead. There's so much dead content on the internet that just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense out there. And it's really interesting that you talked about the automation, the automatic things that like Meta and Google do, because I've always felt that like anytime you use the automatic thing of the company that you're paying money to, I would think that they would want to do the thing that gives them more money
Yep.
rather
Right.
than whatever you think is better. And so you just get up with like a lot of tire kickers who are like, sure, I'll fill out your form, but I just will never
Yeah.
do anything ever again. So it's important to be looking at that data. And I know one of the things that Intuitive does really well is that data analysis and the attribution and kind of that return on investment for everything that you're doing as well. So
Yep. Do you want to hear my tinfoil hat answer to that?
yeah,
Yes.
yes,
Always.
absolutely.
The
Always,
answer to that
always.
question is always yes.
Oh boy. All right. You got enough time? We have time for this.
Yes.
Um, so my tinfoil answer to why I don't use the AI or automated systems in the whether it's Meta or Google or Microsoft is that I can't tell if it's the actual platforms themselves or if it's just bad actors have kind of figured this out. And what I mean by is that, and I'll use an example, Performance Max is a campaign that puts you on search, it puts you on display, it puts you on YouTube, it puts you on, Gmail, puts you on all these
Shopping.
platforms. And you put in audience information, you put in conversion data, and it's supposed to go out and find people that are, tied to that specific audience that have converted or that are like, and so like as a principle, that is really cool. The problem is they black boxed it and they didn't let you do some of the things that other campaigns like negative keywords, negative placements. You didn't get to see what keywords were coming in. You didn't get to see any of this stuff. And so what I don't know if this is bad actor click farm people or if it is literally Google knows this is going on. But what we found is that as we started getting into the data of those conversions, and what we're seeing is that a lot of those campaigns have much higher conversion rates than our standard campaigns. And as we dove a little bit further in the first snippet, because Google is starting now to give us a little bit of that placement data of where those like campaigns are showing up. And we go and we look at where those sites are, and they're all click farms. They're all these websites that are like fake game sites and fake news sites. And the crazy thing about it is that if what in the past those would do is they would just click on your ad, or they would go to the site, they'd click on the ad that's on the site, and then they would get the money because it's an AdSense site, right? So they have the ad on their site. That's how they're making money. They're getting paid by Google. But what they've done now is they will actually go through and figure out what is a conversion point. So they make fake phone calls, they fill out fake forms,
Mhm.
and that's what I was saying before, is that they aren't, they're converting, but they're not. It's either a bot, or it's somebody, in I don't know, in a somewhere just going through, clicking and filling out forms
Mhm.
to make it look like that's good traffic. But
Right.
what we found as we got into the data is that it's really not good traffic. They're not real. They're not actually revenue producing conversions. They're just click conversions. They're just
Yeah.
phone call conversions, but they're not
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
And so again, I don't know if this is Google. I brought this up to our Google reps multiple times, and they've just tried to say, "Oh no, this isn't a
Sweep
thing. It's
it. Yeah.
not. We'll look
Yeah.
into it." But they have, it's a huge push for Google right now, and so that's not going to change. But until they give us that more control back of being able to remove placements, add negative keywords, actually see where these sites are showing up and how they're showing up, we can't trust it. And
Yeah.
and so that's to me where marketing agencies and marketing professionals, consultants are still gonna be around in 5-10 years, is because
Yeah.
you're gonna need somebody to sit, like, look through this data. Are these actual customers? What AI am I gonna give my money to? And is it legitimate, right?
Yeah.
And are they real leads? And so I am nervous about digital marketing and business in general and AI, but I think we're still a very far ways away from AI truly taking over.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of human touch and engagement before we get there.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good point. I love, okay, so I love that. I 100% believe that. And I also feel like, just to your point, I think there's always going to be a need for human involvement, because there's no way to replicate the humanness in a
Yeah,
marketing campaign, because it's not human. So I think businesses might fall into that trap of, okay, well, we don't need that marketing team anymore. We don't need this anymore. And they might do it, and they're going to find that they're not going to get the results because there's nobody there looking at it from that human lens.
Mhm.
yeah,
AI can be a really great tool if used appropriately, but there still has to be, like, in order for customers or clients to connect, there has to be that human element. And there's that, I don't think that's ever going to get replicated. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there will ever be a point in time. And if there is, then yeah, we will be having much different
yeah.
conversations.
I
We're in
know.
trouble.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Terminator. Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome.
Oh, I love
All
that.
right. I'm going to pivot to a totally different topic. But I know that Intuitive is B Corp certified. I'm curious how, choosing to have that certification has impacted your business, and why having the B Corp certification is important to you and your team.
yeah. So B Corp certification has impacted our organization in that it has helped us to document a lot of what we were already doing in our belief systems. Through the certification process, we didn't have to create brand new things, but we definitely had to put them down in paper quite a few times.
Yeah.
And the reason that we have it is that it's as soon as I learned about the certification, it's like, well, we do that. This is who we are. And so I thought it would be a very easy certification process. Like, oh yeah, we'll just pay the money. we'll get through the certification. And it ended up taking us, I think, over a year to get
Wow.
certified the first time. And then as we went through recertification, it still takes 6, 9, 12 months. It is not an
Wow.
easy certification to get or maintain. Um, and so, but I still think it's really valuable because it's a signal to, I think, the world, but also our potential clients, our employees, potential employees, of who we are, and the
Yeah.
work that is required to have that level of certification is substantial. And I think people who understand that, or who are B Corp certified, know that as well. And we always try to work with other B Corps whenever we can. It doesn't always happen where we can. That movement is still growing. And they have recently updated the certification process to, as they've told us, it's going to be easier, but we'll
Hopefully.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. We have to recertify by September of next year, and
Mhm.
we've already started that process. So we're,
Okay.
just to be sure we get done in
Wow.
time.
Yeah. So is it an
Wow.
annual?
It's a try-in, or once every 3
Once
years.
every 3 years. Okay, good.
Wow.
Because like annual is a lot to go through it again. But yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would
Yeah.
not. I don't think I would do it if
If it was annual,
we'd
yeah.
just be recertifying
Be
all the
rough.
time.
Or
Yeah.
That would be rough. Well, that's awesome. Um, so kind of, I mean, kind of spiraling off of that topic and just kind of some of the things that we've touched on earlier. Right now, it sounds like you're serving an audience that really kind of needs digital marketing the most. But they are also the ones, and because of that, because they need it the most, they also may not have a ton of resources. And I feel like this has been, especially this year, a trend in a lot of nonprofits and values based businesses and the people that work with them. And so I guess I just wanted to bring that up and ask you, how has your, I know your strategy has probably changed. How has it changed this year working with those types of clients, and what is your process like looking for clients who are currently feeling like they can't afford marketing when they need marketing, to put it bluntly?
Yeah. So we actually, I and my leadership team saw this coming back in kind of early 2024, and
Yeah.
we pivoted our services where we had actually increased our prices every year for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, which we haven't done in the last 2 years. And instead of continuing to try to move up, we've actually pivoted down in our services. So for the first time, and again, think about 5 years, we actually lowered our minimums and our retainers, and we
Okay.
created packages that are much more geared like our packages when I founded Intuitive, which really was geared and focuses on working with small startup, solopreneur, entrepreneur type folks. And as we grew and grew in acknowledgement, like we were able to kind of scale up and work with larger organizations. And don't get me wrong, we still love, working with mid-sized organizations. But um, so what we did is we pivoted, we have a digital marketing retainer now that allows us to kind of do whatever we're seeing the need is. So they still get to work with a strategist, and then they kind of get to work with either paid or SEO or whatever. Like, what do we need to do this month, and how can we deploy that for you? So our minimums, we've basically dropped our minimums by almost 2/3, in terms of having to work with us, and we're currently in the process of trying to create, like an AI first digital marketing package, meaning we've learned a lot about prompting and how to use AI to do digital marketing more efficiently. How can we create a package that is even lower than that, that like start somebody who's literally day one of their marketing, needs help, they need to figure out how to do marketing, they don't have the time or the money to spend thousands of dollars. So like, I've got $500, what can I do? And I hear that a lot, these days. So we're creating a package that's really geared towards trying to help that organization. Of course, we want to still grow them and help grow their business and turn that into a bigger retainer in the future. But my view is right now and going forward, they're going to continue to be layoffs, and a lot of them, and that is going to create a lot of new businesses. And you see that, right? In a downturn and recession, hundreds of thousands of new businesses start. And
That's a
we
good
want
point.
to be ready for them when they have, when they have that need and they're ready to start their business. We want to have a marketing package ready for them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I love that. Thank you.
All right, I have our final question, but before we jump into that, is there anything that we didn't cover? Because this one is just kind of like a fun one. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want folks to know about for Intuitive? And I will also just say I've been an Intuitive fangirl. I read all your blogs, I read all your newsletters. I've
Oh,
followed the
wow. Thank you.
journey. Followed the journey from the beginning. Well, I think I don't know if I had told you this. I used to work for Coates Cocos, which is like a long time agency, and then
Yeah.
worked for Logical Position. And so like I've always had my eye on like the other agencies in town and been like, who is doing what now and who's growing and who's not. And before we even hit record, we were like, every day, new marketing agencies just pop up because people like us decide that they're going to start their own thing. So yeah, I really love what you guys are doing and the way that you've grown, and it's very inspiring what you've done, Nick. So I just hope you know that, like, that people watch from afar as well. But yeah, if there's anything else you wanted to share before we do our last fun question for this afternoon.
Yes, you're asking, do I have a shameless plug? Like, of course I
Yes,
do.
a
So
shameless plug.
my
Yes.
shameless plug is we currently are offering basically an AI overview audit. And if you go to our contact page, there's a box you can check if you fill out a contact form where we will do an AI audit for you and provide you kind of a roadmap of things that need to get done to help improve your both AIO and GEO for your business. So go check that out. It's totally free, and you have or get to talk with me a little bit. So that's maybe a plus and a minus, but that's an offer that we're putting out right now.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Okay, so the last question, the fun question that we are going to put together a list of this is, what is a piece of media content, a song, a movie, a book, a podcast, TV show, blah, 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 that you are obsessed with or really digging right now?
Yeah, so the show that I'm digging right now, I actually Googled it right before this to make sure I said it right, which is Pluribus.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I have not seen it.
yeah, it's
It's
on
on
Apple
Apple.
TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's only 3 or 4 episodes out so far, and I've only actually seen the first 2, so no spoilers. But it's really interesting show about a virus that basically gets sent to the world that we as humans create, and then what this virus does is basically create this like hive mind where everyone is connected and everyone is one, except there's 12 people that the virus didn't impact, and so yeah, it's very science fiction and very kind of like makes you think, and I'm really interested to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Wow. That
And
sounds really okay. That sounds
yeah,
cool.
it's good. It had a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score. So like I
Oh
feel like
wow.
that's what they were running on. They were like, we scored really good on the Rotten
Yeah,
Tomatoes scale. So
and it's did the writer was it the producer that did
Breaking
uh
Bad
Breaking Bad? Yeah,
and Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Vince Gilligan,
yeah,
right? I
yeah.
think it's yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it is very good. Ooh, that's good to know that you watch it, Nick. I may be messaging you and be like, "What did you think
Yeah,
about it?" So
it's been tough. This week has been a lot of early nights, so my wife and I haven't been able to catch up. But I'm hoping maybe over the weekend we can catch up on these 2 episodes.
yeah,
Nice.
definitely this weekend, or if not, Thanksgiving week, you can
Yes,
binge watch the
Yeah.
rest and catch up.
100%.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on with
Thank you.
us. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate, I don't know, I feel like it's like nerdy that we get to nerd out with another person who does marketing. So
Yeah.
I feel like
This
a
was
lot of
really
our
fun.
questions were very like deep,
Marketing
but
based,
mostly
yeah.
for us to be able to have those conversations. So thank you so much. And thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Take the Leap podcast. Check out our show notes to connect with us and our guests. If you have questions about the episode or ideas for future topics, send us a direct message on Instagram or email us at aloha@taketheleap-today.com. If you're interested in being a guest, fill out the guest interest form on our website.
If you're a new entrepreneur who is looking for a roadmap to move your business idea forward, check out the Take the Leap course on our website, taketheleap-today.com. Members who join the course also have an opportunity to join us in bi-weekly co-working and group coaching calls to build momentum and work on your business.
And if you'd like a flavor of what we offer, sign up for our free webinar with the 9 essential steps you need to launch your business with clarity and confidence. See you next time.